So are you trying to trigger people, or are you just trying to change the pattern and make them more present by not having them know what's coming next and forcing them into a different sort of mental space? Like where
Yeah, I'm not trying to necessarily like intentionally trigger people, but I think when you put people in an environment of the unfamiliar and the unknown, naturally, a lot of the unresolved fears and stuff will tend to rise to the surface that we have been able to hide and mask in our TikTok everyday lives of routines and habits that we can, control. And so let me just explain it this way. It's really, we're so addicted and attached to our sense of self as this ego structure that we believe ourselves to be. I'm Kute, I'm Nina, I'm Danica, I'm Jennifer, and this is me. And so we have this very rigid and tight holding grip on our sense of meanness. I'm not enough. I'm unlovable. I'm not beautiful. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not intelligent. And so with this combination of beliefs and stories and emotions and patterning and energetics that we've held onto from our past, we hold on to this. We identify and hold on to this pattern as a version of ourselves. And we think that this version of ourselves that we have become is who we really are. And the degree to which we hold on to that version of Danica-ness or Kute-ness or John-ness is the degree to which we're not free to truly live authentically, truly live in the moment, truly be in the now, the present moment, because to truly be in the now is the ability to respond authentically in the moment to what is arising rather than from the conditioned unconscious responses from our past. And so as children, we are, shall we say, we're born free. You look at a child.
Yeah.
A child is, we're alive, right? You look into a child's eyes, a child they're in touch with the divine. They're in touch with their essence. And I think that's where when we look into a child, we melt because we are reminded of our own divinity. We're reminded of what we were once. So what the hell happens? We were these bright beings. We would jump on a table and sing and shout, and we didn't care if we didn't sound like, Mariah Carey or Bruno Mars. We ran naked and we didn't care. Like, I got a few rolls, right? What do I look like on Instagram? I'm not, slim enough. I'm too fat. We were just being, letting it all hang out. We pooped when we felt like pooping. We cried when we felt like, we were just being pure, essential light, the light that we were. So what the hell happens that begins this self-contraction? The first thing is we incarnate into this human experience. We meet our parents. They're just doing the best that they can do based on their upbringing and their conditioning and their childhood. So we're born into kind of a preset pattern of conditioning based on parents, based on culture, society, religion, ancestral patterns and addictions and conditioning that's been unresolved. So now we're born into this framework that we're condensed into. And maybe dad was an alcoholic, or mom had mental health issues, or maybe they were fighting all the time. So or maybe they were nice people, but they didn't know how to meet our emotional needs. Right. And so now, and that was painful. So now there's some level of dysfunction, trauma, or pain that we experience, as children. And so often unconsciously, because we're these sensitive beings, two things happen. The first thing is we begin to learn how to shut down, disconnect, and not feel, as a way of survival, the pain that's going on around in our environment. Wow, it's really painful to not have my needs met, and that really hurts, and I feel helpless. So it's too painful to feel that, so let me just numb that. Let me shut that down. Let me disconnect. And so the first thing is all of the sort of unprocessed, unfelt, suppressed emotions, anger, pain, hurt, fear, we suppress it, we suppress it, we suppress it. Those layers begin building up. And our true authentic light, our true authentic beingness, our true authentic essence is always there, whether we're aware of it or not. It just kind of gets hidden and clouded underneath the layers of unprocessed emotion. And now we're wondering, well, why do I feel heavy? Why do I feel depressed? And so we also start learning a way of being in the world to a defense mechanism. We erect walls in our heart. We go into our mind, become so overly analytical, disconnect from our feelings, our bodies, as a way to, again, not feel the pain. So that way of self-protection that we unconsciously learn in response to what's going on, we then become that version of ourselves, and we hold tightly to that version of ourselves to survive, to function, and ultimately to never feel that pain again. That holding on becomes a positionality of control, or we can call it ego, and we hold on to that as a way to never feel that pain again. It worked for us when we were 5. Now we're 10, now we're 20, now we're 25, now we fall in love, and our heart opens, and we're like, no, I'm not going to open my heart so I don't feel that helpless or that pain again. And so that self-contraction that we've learned to become, to function and survive, we learn a strategy to get love, validation, and approval. Like, who do I need to be in order to be loved by my dad? For me, I thought I needed to be the perfect son, the good one, the good boy, get all A's, take care of everyone, take care of my mother, never cry, suck it up, be independent. And this is take over my father's church, which we can get into. But we develop all sorts of roles and masks and personas that we present to the world in order to get love, validation, and approval. So between avoidance of pain and the self-defense mechanism that we erect and the personas and masks that we end up contorting ourselves into a particular shape. We end up contorting ourselves into a particular condition, construct, pattern that we think is who we are. We hold tightly onto that. That gets reinforced by society, life, those around us. And we end up holding so tightly to that there's no freedom. And we end up thinking this is who we are. We're just basically conditioned. We're conditioned and we hold so tightly. And so we could say that is ego. That's what ego is. The sense of what we identify and perceive ourselves to be. And the degree to which we're conditioned, the degree to which we're holding on, the degree to which we think that that's what we are, is the degree to which we're not free. We're not free to love and truly be in the now and respond from what's really there. We're not, so much of our potential that we feel inside gets trapped inside of the pattern and the prison of our conditioning, sure. And so that tends to get reinforced by the life that we live. And that's why when I unplug people from their typical life that is reinforcing that pattern of conditioning, it starts triggering, it starts loosening that grip that we're used to holding on to for a sense of safety. This is me, right? Wow. This is who I am. And so we have to question. So what that stirs in people is questioning, well, is who I am, who I really am? Like, oh, this is just who I am. I'm just this way. But is who I am who I really am, or is it just who I've been conditioned to be? And we begin to realize that the version of ourselves that we think we are is really just ego. And ego is not good. It's not bad. It's just a vehicle to function in this lifetime. It's information. Yeah, exactly.
And so it leads me to the question of this attracting the same pattern of a person to awaken us to our patterns. So like when we find ourselves in the same pattern with the relationships or with work or whatever your sort of trauma and your places that you're more stuck, and we attract that, we actually want the opposite, but we keep attracting what our pattern is. And can you explain that sort of mirroring that happens in life to show us where we're not free?
Yeah, I think we tend to attract that energetic pattern because inside of us is also that incomplete energy. Mm-hmm. And so that attraction, there's an impulse inside of us that is unconsciously seeking to complete what is not complete from, let's say, our childhood or an old relationship. And so we attract often that energy of what's incomplete. And so let's say in relationships, I like to say that we attract to us a person, whether it's romantic or not. We attract to us a person that tends to be a mirror manifestation of ourselves. We attract to us a person that mirrors to us our unresolved issues, our unresolved patterns, those aspects of ourselves that need to be integrated, faced, to be healed, to be released, to be forgiven, to be let go of. And we attract that person in order to face those parts of ourselves, because ultimately there is no relationship out there. There's really a relationship out there that's a projection of our own consciousness within ourselves. And so we are in relationship in the seeming form of another person with ourselves. And so I think when we can really see that, oh shit, there's not really anyone out there, because what we try to do is we point the finger out there, we make it about the other person, we try to change the other person, and we don't change ourselves. Ego, right, whose job is to reinforce our existence. Ego, whose beautiful job is to keep us safe and protect us from getting hurt again. Ego wants everyone else to change and not to change. We want everyone else to change and not to change. And that is the sort of self-reinforcing mechanism and intention of ego. Because the fear of, oh shit, if I change, or my perceived sense of self change, then who will I be? And so change for ourselves, which is why we resist unconsciously, and it's a beautiful intention, change feels like a death to who I am.
You're letting an aspect of you that you've held on so tightly to fall, drop, dissolve, fall away, dissolve. Yeah.
That's why Rumi said, in order to be free, you must die before you die.